Capstone 2 is on the Arctic boreal forests. Within the next 100 years, it is projected that between 11 and 50% of the Arctic tundra will be displaced by the boreal forest biome creeping northwards. Boreal forests extend across the northern hemisphere to the south of the Arctic tundra and to the north of the deciduous forests and grasslands. Dynamic vegetation models applied to Europe and the Barents region project a general increase in net annual primary production by climate warming and CO2 fertilization. It is also projected that animal terrestrial biodiversity will increase in the Arctic during this warming because of new species immigrating from the south. Vegetation changes and the introduction of invasive species from the south will likely cause many native Arctic species to be threatened during this century. It is likely that these vegetation changes in the boreal forest biome will result in an overall positive feedback on the climate due to the increased albedo caused by the increase in vegetation. The boreal forest biome is expected to be particularly vulnerable to change because these ecosystems are naturally sensitive to warming because of the prevalence of heat and permafrost in the soil and because of the biome's location between the Arctic tundra to the north and deciduous forests to the south. Warming in this region will cause much of the permafrost currently in the boreal forest biome to melt, which will affect tree stability and, more importantly, release huge amounts of carbon and other potent greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Indigenous and non-indigenous people in the Arctic have a history of adapting to change, and there is a high confidence that today's rapid climate change is exacerbating the existing stresses faced by Arctic communities. Indigenous Arctic communities are especially vulnerable to climate change because of how heavily they rely on the environment for their daily lives. Diversification of animal species in the current tundra region could have a negative effect on some native Arctic species, including reindeer. Indigenous Arctic peoples rely on native species like this for food, and the possible introduction of invasive species could threaten the food security of some indigenous Arctic peoples.